Hi everyone, this is Gwendolyn Go, your desperate housewife who crafts. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create a faux impasto oil painting using embossing paste by Shimmerz. Last month when I was in Madrid visiting my in-laws, I decided to take some oil painting classes. I've never done this before. And I loved it so much, so now that I'm home, I was wondering if I could do the same thing on cards. But it would take so long to dry, so I decided to try them with my embossing paste. So using the Tons stamps, I first stamped some roses onto my watercolor card. As you can see, I overlapped, but it doesn't really matter because the pastes are going to cover it. Now these are the embossing pastes I use by Shimmerz. They're called Dazzlerz because they're so shiny, and this one's called Coral Me Crazy. The other one I use for the leaves is called Sour Apple, and these pastes are so smooth and so creamy and so shiny, they're just a dream to work with. Right, I also have some Vibez inks. They're spray inks from Shimmerz also, and they're really rich and vibrant. I also used just some ordinary embossing paste, which is quite pearly, to do the vase, so it'll give a little bit of a shine. I'm also using an ordinary color palette, watercolor palette, to put my paste and my inks in them. And I'm just using some cheap brushes that I have around the house that you can buy in any art store. You can use your watercolor brushes also if you want, because these wash off really well. So I started off by spraying my Vibez Razzeldazzle berry spray, and because I'm going to mix that with my Coral Me Crazy to give me a nice pinkish tone. So first I'm doing the vase, and I just use some pearly embossing paste to just paint a vase there. You can't see very much, but once it's done, it'll just give a nice sheen that will resemble a glass vase. You can see that there's a little bit of blue paint left over from the brush I was using, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, there's a bit of water, it's a bit blue, so it doesn't really matter. So now I'm using a very small size paintbrush and dipping it to the paste and spreading it on my watercolor paper. Now you can use any other type of paper that you normally use for embossing paste when you put embossing paste on paper. I just had some scrap watercolor paper, so that's what I'm using. Oh, one tip. Make sure you cut your paper before you start painting, because you don't really want to flatten the raised effect once you finish painting. If you can, also put your double-sided adhesive behind your panel, your painted panel, before you start painting also. So what I'm doing now is just I'm painting the flower in the sense of the petals. So because with impasto painting, impasto means being able to see the marks of your brush. Be aware that you will be able to see the brush strokes, which is, I think, the beauty of this type of painting. Make sure you also paint petal by petal as with watercolor, because this will give a nice raised effect to each petal and will give it the depth that you want on your flower. As you can see, I started with the lighter color, but it really doesn't matter whether you go in with the lighter color or the darker color. I just chose to start this flower this way, but you will see later on that once my paints were mixed onto the brush, I just went in with a darker color and then filled and blended in with the lighter color. So experiment with your paste and just see which you prefer. These pastes are really such a dream to paint with. They're so smooth and so thick and soft at the same time. It's really wonderful. I don't have many colors because I'm just testing them out to see whether I like them or not, and so far I've only used them as a normal regular embossing paste through my stencils. But now that I am using them to do faux impasto paintings on my cards, I will certainly get more, because I really love this type of painting on cards with embossing paste. And they really dry so quickly too. So you have to be careful to work a bit faster, because they dry faster than oil paints, obviously. I mean, they're not going to dry in the 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But now it's summer and it's quite hot. I think it will dry on your palette in about 20 minutes. So just be aware that you shouldn't walk away and come back and continue your painting if you want to use the same paste that you have put onto your palette. So my advice to you would just be put out the amount, a small amount in the beginning, and just add more if you need it. So now, as you can see, I've just added some spray paint onto my embossing paste, and the spray paint is water soluble also from Vibez, so it can all be washed away later on. Now I can decide on the depth of the color of my paint now by adding more or less of the spray paint. Now, isn't that beautiful? Look at that texture and that shine. I really love it. Well, now I'm going to put on some music and let you enjoy the rest of my painting process, and I'll come in later at the end of the video. Enjoy! So now that I've finished my roses, I'm now going over the stamped petals with the sour apple embossing paste with a flat brush. I think a flat brush gives it a better texture than a round brush, but you can always experiment and see which one you prefer. It's really, really easy to color these leaves, and I think the leaves give the really best effect of the impasto type of painting I'm trying to achieve. You can also see why I wanted to paint the vase first, because I was going to paint the leaves over the vase. But make sure when you're painting the flowers and the leaves to not put your fingers into the vase by mistake, the painted vase. Ask me how I know. So, well, now I finished it, but since I had quite a bit of paste left, I decided to just draw a rose on the bottom of my card to give it the impression that it fell off the bouquet. But I still had so much paste left over, I hate wasting anyway, that I just put it back into the pot. It was still nice and creamy, and it hadn't hardened up yet, and it wasn't too it wasn't mixed so much with the pink spray, so I managed to put it back into the pot. You also see on my color palette, my watercolor palette, that I had washed the paints, the mix paste and paint that I was using before, because I decided to wash it before I realized I wanted to paint another flower. But you can see how easy and how clean my palette is now. Even though the paste had dried a little bit, I used a toothbrush and it came off really, really well. So to finish my card, I stamped my sentiment also from the ton using StazOn black ink on vellum paper because I didn't want to hide any of that beautiful painted roses. Well, if you like my card, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back soon again. Bye!